Some of you may know that I have been in a fellowship for this past, going on about a year, about 9 months, the 18 Doors Rukin Rabbinic Fellowship. 18 Doors, here's their mission statement. 18 Doors empowers people in interfaith relationships, individuals, couples, families, and their children to engage in Jewish life and make Jewish choices, and encourages Jewish communities to welcome them. It's basically helping interfaith families and couples who are trying to figure out how to be interfaith and Jewish. That helps them along, whether it's getting married or raising kids or helping grandparents, things like that. And I'm part of this fellowship as a rabbi, in part to deepen my understanding of interfaith relationships, to further my thinking around how I welcome them, how we welcome them, how I do weddings, things like that. And just also because it's so important to us here at BJC. And the fellowship is made up of, this is the first year where it's made up of Reform rabbis, renewal rabbis, conservative rabbis. It used to be that you had to officiate interfaith marriages, and now it's a gamut. It's a range of people who don't do them and don't want to people who can't because the conservative movement bans it, to people who do, like me. And so in many ways, I'm one of the more radical rabbis there. I'm always saying, like, yeah, our history, we've always done it. And I'm ready to perform interfaith weddings and marriages. Here at BJC, right? We don't really count who is Jewish, who's not. It's not part of our ethos, our ethic. And if I didn't think I was right, I would just look at the Torah. Because in our Torah portion, Behalotcha, the Israelites begin their journeys into the wilderness. They left Egypt way back in Exodus, but then we got the 10 Commandments and the laws and the building of the Mishkan and the priestly codes and all of these things. And they're finally going off and wandering. Soon they'll be punished to wander for 40 years, but right now they're just setting off. And as they leave, Moses approaches his father-in-law, who's here called Hobab, and elsewhere he's called Jethro or Reuel. And Moses invites him to come with the Israelites. He said, "Come with us, and we will be generous to you, for the Eternal has promised to be generous to Israel." Now his father-in-law declines the invitation. He instead goes back to his native land. And two things stand out to me about this. First is that Hobab, or Jethro, is not part of the Israelite camp. He's not an Israelite. His daughter enters into the Israelite camp, but he's not part of it. He's a Midianite. He still honors God, but while the Israelites leave, he goes on his way. But the other thing that stands out is that Moses reaches out to him anyway. Moses says, "Come with us, join us on our journey. You will be part of our people. We will be generous because God is generous to all of us." The Midrash in Sifrei Numbers picks up on this. It says, "The kindness shown to Hovav should be shown to all who join themselves to Israel." The kindness shown to him should be shown to all who join themselves to Israel. I read this as we extend kindness, generosity to all those who come into our midst, who join our community, our family, our tribe, whether through marriage or not. Maybe they converted, maybe their father was Jewish and their mother isn't. Whatever it might be, we're welcoming them into our midst. We break down those distinctions between us and them. It's just us. And it took a long time, but my rabbinical school, HUC-JIR, Hebrew Union College, just figured this out too. Maybe you saw this in the news. If not, maybe you're not reading the same news I am. So HUC is the Reform Seminary. It's where I was ordained. And even though we're a non-denominational synagogue, in many ways, we resemble the Reform aesthetic and the Reform ethics, and who is it, Rabbi Brenner? I found some document. He even called us a Reform synagogue at some point. So I bring this up because the Reform movement for a long time was very accepting of interfaith families, right? Saying, join our synagogue, or, we're going to take away some of the rules about who can be on the bima and whatnot. But the movement didn't fully embrace them. And that's made evidence by an HUC, the seminary, admissions policy, which said that you couldn't be either accepted into the program or ordained if you were in a relationship with a non-Jew. So basically, Reform rabbis or Reform ordained rabbis had to, if they were in a relationship, had to be with another Jew. Now, granted, there are many who were in the closet, so to speak, and there's no rule about what happens once you're ordained. And of course, there's some ambiguity about what a relationship is, but still, there are many people who were denied admission or who chose not to apply because of that. Now, some say this preserved the special role of the rabbi, the symbolic exemplar. The idea is we might accept interfaith families, but the ideal is still endogamy. The ideal is still marrying another Jew. So let's hold the rabbi to that ideal. But other people said this flew in the face of interfaith outreach, right? Who's to say, oh, we're going to accept you, but put limits on that acceptance? And the nice thing is that all changed yesterday. HUC-JIR came out with a new policy that says a partner of the prospective student, the partner's religion will not determine if they're accepted into the program or not. Now, there's still some limitations. You still have to say you create a Jewish home and things like that, and they're working on it. There's still some little lines to figure out, but overall, this is a big deal. The nice thing is what HUC just figured out, we have known for so long. We've known to extend an embracing hug to our Jewish and non-Jewish community members, as Moses did for his father-in-law. The story I've been told for decades is that up until somewhat recently, if you were a Jewish, non-Jewish interfaith couple, and you wanted to get married by a rabbi in the DMV, there were only two rabbis you could go to. It was Rabbi Harold White at Georgetown, and whoever was the rabbi right here at BJC. Thankfully, nowadays, that's not as true, but we know this history. There are plenty of rabbis. My wife, for example. There are many other rabbis who will do interfaith weddings, but for a long time, it was just us. And so I am proud of our legacy of embracing interfaith families in all their shapes. It's why I'm part of this 18 Doors Rukin Rabbinic Fellowship, and it's why I'm part of this community. At least it's one of the reasons. So may we continue to show the extended kindness that Moses extended to Jethro, his father-in-law, as we accept and embrace and honor all who enter into our midst, into our community, our Jewish and Jewish community, and we say, Amen. And so we take a few moments to reflect on the ways we embrace our extended BJC family.